the heart and soul of coaching and healing. Great to be with everyone. It's been quite a journey into the heart and soul, hasn't it? And today we're going to go into neutralizing conflicts and forgiveness. Some important topics to explore, very essential things. And does anyone want to mention, Pamela was sharing before we began here, some of her successes with her cord cutting classes. Anyone want to share something that you experienced about archetypes or relationships or anything related to the course in recent days? Well, I guess we will go on and get more experiences as we go on here. And today, as I mentioned, we're going to be exploring this very important topic of forgiveness. And why don't we just talk about for a moment what that word means? Because it isn't necessarily always that obvious what it means. And okay, so I got the word forgiveness there. Oop. I guess I. So what comes to mind for you, George, when you think of forgiveness? A word or
A
phrase, yeah.
well, it's a releasing of negative energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And Pamela, what comes to mind for you?
I would say that forgiveness is when the past is no longer ruling and controlling our present and our future. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well said. Terry, anything come to mind for you?
Oh boy.
Or Ariel? Hi, Ariel.
Hi.
We're talking about forgiveness. Anything that comes to mind for you?
In what way?
Well, when you think of the word forgiveness, what word or phrase comes to mind for you?
Oh. Two words. I'd say release and I'd say love.
Okay. Terry, anything coming to mind for you?
Um, yeah, in my own journey of learning.
Yeah, just like a word or
Wisdom.
phrase, just a little top of the mind, just a little
Yeah.
couple word description.
Finding the Ho'oponopono has really helped me
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Mm-hmm.
letting someone go, but with love and thanking them because then you can see the
Mm-hmm.
gift in it
Yep.
and
Okay.
the release. So it's a it's a process for me.
Yeah, so the release process. Okay, good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, those are all very good comments that we'll incorporate as we go on. I have some, I think, very good core information, uh, some of which might be new to you, some of it might be a review on what it is, and we have a good description in the manual in section 17 about forgiveness. Interestingly enough, people who are younger, namely ages 18 to 44, have a little more difficult time forgiving. Um, and it may be a little easier as you mature to not hold on to the sometimes called accounts or grudges. So just to get some basics on what we're talking about here, um, we're not condoning behavior where either someone did something transgressing, hurtful to you, or you did something hurtful to someone else. We're not saying that's okay and it's fine. Um, we're just getting a different, I think, as Terry was saying, a different process or relationship to what happened. We cite a book by Fred Luskin about forgive to good, forgive to good, um, for good, forgive for good. And part of it is beginning to take things less personally. And I think that when you age, that's a little easier to do naturally, of course. And he identified things that help us blame people, that lock us into the areas where we hold accounts and grudges for other people. And some of these are things like my partner has to be faithful. People must not lie to me. Life should be fair. People must be kind to me. My life should be easier. My past should have been different. My parents should have treated me better. Those kind of what he calls unenforceable rules, viewpoints. And, ideally, people will be fair and kinder and so forth. And we want to be that way to other people, of course. But such is not life. And when things happen, we keep coming back to those rumination, those thoughts keep cycling. And that's what hurts us. In fact, there's a long list of physical problems in areas where you haven't forgiven yourself or forgiven someone else. Actually, forgiving another person, as we'll talk about, you need to forgive yourself as well. Some of the physical things is just generally reporting fewer health problems. If you forgive, there's less stress. It lowers your blood pressure. It helps with your muscle and your tension and your immune response. And it helps with your cardiovascular, muscular, and nervous systems. And it obviously puts you in a better state of mind to do that. So in addition to the judgments of these general belief systems like life should be fair, people should have treated me better, and ideally they should have, yes, in an ideal world, of course they should have. But since the world that we're living in isn't, fair in that way, isn't always kind, as we know. And we, as we mature, we kind of get a better sense of that. But that part that was hurt and violated or violated others didn't know that. There's another area which we need to forgive ourselves, and the author Fred Luskin identified 4 areas, and any of these may have affected you. These are very common things that happen that you don't forgive yourself for failing something you considered important. Maybe you didn't graduate college. Maybe you didn't get married or have children, for instance, and you're blaming yourself for that. Or even blaming yourself, say, for a marriage that didn't work out. Maybe you failed to act at certain times. There was something that someone needed you and you didn't step up. Maybe another time you're upset about hurting someone. Maybe you cheated on someone, or you behaved poorly. You were sort of unethical in your behavior. Okay. And also self-destructive behavior, things like alcoholism, addictions, laziness, just bad habits, many of those kind of things. You may be blaming yourself for that. At least part of you is blaming yourself for this. And before I go a little bit further, I want to just open it up to you for comments and questions from any of you as we start to kind of get an overview there of what we're talking about today. Anything? Okay. Something I also want to just insert here for a moment too is a term which you may have heard called radical forgiveness. I think there's a book that Radical Forgiveness. Yeah. So what we're talking about here is from an absolute point of view. The world is in divine order. Everything is here for a reason. Yes, we agree with all of that. From that point of view, maybe there's nothing to forgive. Someone was teaching you a lesson, that you wanted, that you arranged for in between life or something. So on that level, yes, you could say there's really nothing to forgive. Everything is in perfect order. However, the way life is in a relative way, the way we usually live our lives, there are things we have to deal with that are affecting us, right? And that's where the healing comes in. So I just wanted to point that out there. Another part of sometimes people say, and I think this is a debatable point, I was doing the best that I could do, or she was doing the best she could do. I think that's another one that's kind of tricky. It could be yes or no. So if your father was beating you up, was that the best he could do? I mean, is saying, okay, that's the best he could do. All he could do was beat me up every day. I mean, I don't know. That may not be the most objective way to do it. Hey, hi, Linda. How are you? And so I tend to shy away from saying that's the best you could do. You from one point of view, from what you knew as a child or your resources, yeah, that's kind of how you chose it. But you have choices. You do have choices, and you may not have had, your best choice. Ariel?
Here. I hear what you're saying, and I have used like, just say for instance, maybe one of my parents that they did the best they could do, but I think I changed the terminology, and I would say they did the best they could at their level of consciousness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that still doesn't, that then, if, like you said, if someone is beating up their child or something, like it doesn't really take them off the hook for what they did, but I think it just gives you a better understanding that we're all here on this planet in different levels of consciousness, and not everybody will choose to break through to higher levels of consciousness. So I don't know, it's just, I guess I just wanted to share my terminology as far as saying that at their level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, what do you think? Is that still not,
Yeah, that makes
not,
sense. I tend, as I said, I tend to stay away from that term because it's kind of like a loaded term to me. You know, um, you could say yes, you could say no. You know, I'm forgiving myself for that situation. I'm letting it go. I'm just
yeah,
saying it happened. I'm understanding it now. I'm letting it go, and we're going to be doing some processes on forgiveness
but
and
you can
just.
still forgive them even though,
Oh yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah. Definitely the point of view is giving them. I
Mhm.
just kind of bring that in because that's sort of an interesting uh,
Hmm.
thought about getting clear on that.
Yes,
You
thank
know,
you.
and if you feel like that does fit, that's the best she could do, then maybe you do want to say it. I would
Mhm.
just be mindful of it. Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
that's a good one.
Okay. Um, and what we do with our forgiveness areas where we haven't forgiven, and it affects our health, as I said, and it affects our energy, emotional energy. It's sometimes called keeping score or keeping accounts. Um, and so he did it again, or that's just like what Joe did to me, or that's he keeps doing that every time. I knew he was going to, so it just kind of builds. It's like it's like a sore that keeps getting worse and worse, and more and more infected and more worn down, more abused. Um, Sometimes it's called unfinished business too. Um, so there's unfinished business. You want to finish the business. And I kind of look at my lifetime, you know, I want to complete this if I feel like this is still not complete. Now, how do you know if it's complete? Well, you have some sense of it, but there are different layers and levels as the course, as we explore in this course, like in the different group, and we'll do societal archetypes in the next week or two. There are different levels that are very subtle to these things. So at one level, it's clear that you go deeper and you see it, how it connects at another level. But finishing the business, do I feel complete? Like if I were to leave, pass, next week, do I feel complete with this relationship? That's sort of my question. One of my sisters I hadn't talked to for many years because of her behavior. I didn't really want to be around it. And I didn't think I would ever talk to her again, actually, in this lifetime. But I just got a feeling, about a year ago to just say hello to her. It was kind of her birthday. I just said hello. I still don't really necessarily want to have much to do with her, but I didn't feel any reason to have to not, to avoid it almost. So that was fine. But so, that I think that's a good marker, do I feel complete? Like if I were to finish today, does this relationship seem like, something, quote, negative happened, but I forgave it, I released it, I learned from it. It's complete. Any other comments or just questions just about that before we go on in forgiveness, but just relative to what we've been saying here? And of course, if you forgive, you're going to be more flexible, you're going to be more resilient, you're going to live fuller too, for sure. So we have two techniques to forgive, and I want to put as a predicate as something that needs to happen before you forgive is you have to be willing to forgive. So you quote should forgive, and a lot of, by the way, shoulds and musts and have and those are things that we often have, those unenforceable beliefs. He shouldn't have done that. He must do that. Or, you could even say, I should forgive him. I should forgive her. You should, but you're not really ready, are you? Because it's like, the fruit getting ripe from the tree. It's just not ready yet. You could get ready very quickly if you decide. It's kind of like letting an addiction go. You're not ready to let the addiction go yet. You have to be full committed. And once you are, then it usually is pretty easy and straightforward. The process I'm going to do works very well, just to have an official ritual, an official action process to do to take you from before the forgiveness, I'm ready, and then after I'm complete. So that's a prerequisite. Yeah, you want to be ready to forgive something. And then the two ways we have done it, one is from a man, Larry Nimsey, he's a therapist. I don't know if he's still alive even, but anyways, he had this very simple tapping, just 2 tapping points. Interestingly enough, he would do it after every client. He was a psychotherapist, which doesn't make sense to me because of what I just told you, because not everyone's ready to forgive. You could say every issue probably requires ultimately some kind of forgiveness sooner or later, but to just put that in there as an automatic, I wouldn't do that. But the way he did it, I liked his process because it was so simple. And he tapped 2 points. One was for anger and one was for forgiveness. He said, which seems to be true, that there's always some anger related to this area of forgiveness. That's something you're angry at the other person if another person is involved, and at yourself. So the point is in your little pinky finger on the inside toward the ring finger. You tap that with 1 or 2 fingers, and that's a meridian point too. And you say, I now release my anger toward whoever, toward him, toward her, for this action. I now release my anger. You say the anger toward my father for what he did. So you tap just a few times lightly. And then the second part is tapping the index pointer finger on the part next to the thumb. And that's where you say, forgive. I now forgive my father for what he did. I'm now forgiving my father for what he did. You just very simply state it. So release the anger toward your father or whoever, release and forgive him. And second, that you do the same thing toward yourself. Even though your father may have hurt you, you say, I now release my anger toward my father on this issue, and I now forgive myself for this issue. Because part of yourself is kind of holding a grudge against yourself, like, why did this happen to me? What's wrong with me? So that's kind of an interesting cleansing thing. Alternatively, you could do EFT, you know, and you say, I now forgive my father for how he hurt me, whatever. And I forgive him on all levels, on all levels. I now forgive my sister. I forgive her on all levels. And then you do the tapping points, release or forgive, and you tap. That's an alternative if you want to do it with EFT. But let's do the Larry Nims. He calls it the Be Set Free Fast. That was his terminology for his process. And it's in your manual on page manual 17.3. Okay. First of all, are there any questions or comments about the process? Okay. Does someone have something they'd like to forgive? They feel like they're ready to let it go.
I would.
Terry, you have something in specific that you're ready to let go?
Yeah, it's been held for a long time. And
Okay.
yeah.
You're ready. Great. Okay. Good. Congratulations for stepping up to that. That's nice. Okay. So we don't need to know really in details at this point, although we may do a process in a moment. It was you're forgiving who for what? Just in a sentence, you're forgiving so and so. Do you mind mentioning
It was my best friend at the time.
your
And
friend? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
she stole money out of my account
Okay.
when she came to get me from the emergency room. So it felt like a very vulnerable place. As I was hanging on for her life. And then
Wow.
to
Yeah.
have that too, it has
Yeah.
had
So
an emotional hold.
are you saying it's a, did I hear you right? It was a female friend and when she stole the money is you were sick or something? You were in a hospital? Did I understand that right?
Yeah, I was hemorrhaging,
Oh,
and
wow.
so she came to pick me up, and I gave her my ATM card to pick up a medication.
Oh, I see. It was a he or she?
She,
She. Okay.
she, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it. All right. So now we have the incident. You're ready to let go of it. And again, this is certainly not approving in any way of what this person did. We're not saying it's okay for her to steal from you. Certainly not. But it's, as you know, for you to free up your energy so you don't have to hang on and hold this anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Good. So the Be Set Free Fast is Be Set Free Fast. That's a pretty good description of it. So you're tapping your little pinky finger on the inside, Terry.
Okay.
Are you at a place where we can see the video or no? Is it, or too hard to do that?
Yeah, yeah, I would rather do it by myself.
Okay. All right. So you're tapping the index, the inside of your little finger and saying, I release my anger toward her. I don't know, do we want to give her a name toward her? What should we call her?
Her name is Janice, and
Okay.
maybe there's anger underneath it, but all I feel is hurt.
Right. That's fine. So, and yeah, we could say anger and hurt. Yeah. I'm releasing the anger and hurt. I now release my anger toward and hurt toward Janice for her theft or for her stealing or for her action. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And
All right.
now you tap the pointer finger on the inside, the thumb side, the top toward the nail. You're tapping and saying, I now forgive Janice for what she did.
For what she did.
Okay. You're just breathing into that and just kind of taking that in for a moment. Okay. And again, things may take a while to integrate over time, but it's also good to just kind of take a snapshot of where you are now, taking a couple nice deep breaths, Terry.
Mhm.
And how are you feeling?
Um, I feel tearful, but that's probably a good thing because I haven't revisited it, and I don't think I was able to express tears before.
Okay. Yeah, that's a release. Okay. So we could do some EFT tapping, just tapping the points, just the continuous tapping about releasing it on all levels. So you're tapping the top of the head, releasing whatever you need to further release the anger and hurt on all levels. Tapping the eyebrow point, releasing, release. The side of the eye, release. Under the eye, release. It's a good way of cleansing in there. Under the nose, release. Under the mouth, release. The collarbone, release. Under the arm, release.
Thanks.
Breathing. And the top of the head, resetting yourself, integrating this into your left and right brain for the balancing. Good. Breathing, Terry. And then finally, the reset process tapping, integrating your heart, breathing. Okay. So we're allowing things to integrate. And are you beginning to notice anything about how you're shifting, how you're growing, what you're learning, what you're beginning to understand a little more?
Um, to sum it up, it would be allowing, that I just have not been willing to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
sadness.
Yeah. So you go through the feelings and let them go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So that's important that you are feeling it. That's a way to let it go. Okay. Yeah. And we'll touch it. There's a couple more things that are related that we can do. And one of them is another process which we call neutralizing conflicts that we're going to go over now. Terry, did you want to mention anything else now about the process, just for the moment? Hey, hi, Cynthia.
No, as long as I can finally
Okay, good.
feel the
Just
feelings, and that's an
yeah,
improvement.
yeah. Keep going. You're doing well. And so on forgiveness here, um, this is a process that can help you understand the other person. It could be something you want to forgive or just anything you want to, we call it neutralizing a conflict. And it can help you get a bigger insight into the other person. But before we do that, I just want to open up if there are any comments or questions on that little forgiveness process. Again, a lot of it is just getting to the point of I understand it, I know what it is, and I'm ready to let it go. And you're fully committed to let it go. If you're not fully committed, then you're not ready, which is nothing wrong with that. It's like someone who has an addiction, they may not be ready to give up the addiction. It would be better if they did, but it may take a certain more things to happen before they're ready. And that's just the way we are. There's a lot involved, as we know. Okay. Any just general comments or questions on any of that? Yeah. So the nice thing I like about it is very straightforward and pretty quick, and very effective. And the reason we almost know it's always going to work is because the person says they're ready to do it. And it kind of gives them a clear understanding of what the situation is and that they have like a ritual, a mark, an earmark, a marking point for the conclusion of it. And again, when you go further, maybe something that is, say, connected with a parent or whatever, is going to be involved with other kind of forgivenesses because it was part of another related behavior or something in your own life that you need to get clear on that it relates to things as you go forward. So it could show up in different ways as you evolve. But that's good. That's just further growth. But the main thing, the basic gist of it has been taken care of. And again, it may take a little time, and there may be some further things to explore that we haven't quite looked at. So the neutralizing conflict with others process, let me see. I'll pull that up in your manual.
And Philip, while you were working on Terry, I did it on myself. And
Oh,
I
yes?
did a release. Yeah. So
Oh,
it
wow.
was-
So you had you were ready to let go of something and it
Yes.
worked.
Yes.
Great. Great. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yes, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Since I came late to the class, did you give like an explanation of why we use those particular fingers? The pinky
Those
and
particular fingers, one is a meridian. One the index, no, the pinky finger is a heart meridian. So you're
Mhm.
kind of letting your heart. That's why it was chosen. And the index finger is a intestine, the large intestine, like holding on to things. The intestine is often correlated with holding on to things.
Okay.
That's why they chose those tapping points. Okay.
And intestine also, the large intestine has to do with grief. The small intestine has to do with worrying.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, large intestine. Yeah, so perfect. Thanks for adding that. Great. Okay.
Well,
So let me show you this other process we're going to do tonight, neutralizing conflicts in your manual. Just show you where it is. Creating healthy relationships, section 17. It's right at the beginning. It's called neutralizing conflicts. And it's a way of sort of seeing things from the other person's point of view, the person you're having a problem with. And it doesn't have to be something about forgiveness, but it could. You find out what the conflict is. We want to get specific, as you know. Always start with the specific. Then go into a relaxed place. You may do a brief progressive relaxation, just breathing and counting down. We've looked at different ways to do that at different times. After the person is relaxed, imagine that the other person is there with him or with her. And just kind of get a sense of that other person, the one they're having a conflict with. And now have him imagine leaving his own body or her own body and going into the other person's body, just to get sort of seeing things from their point of view, as if you could see things through their eyes, being very empathetic. Like, what does it look like from that person's point of view? And how do they perceive this situation? And you can use modalities, what you're hearing, sensing, feeling, and then come back to your own body just to complete that. And then you can have a what we call spiritual plane communication, a dialogue with the other person. And the nice thing is you just do this on a different plane too, which you don't need the person there. By the way, the person that you forgive, you don't necessarily have to ever tell them that you've forgiven them, by the way, or see them. You may not be able to see them because they may not be accessible or reachable, or may not be alive or whatever. So, but that's not required at all. But the nice thing on this
on somebody who's no longer here, and
yes,
it did work. Like I said, I got a release. So
yeah, you could do things on people who are no longer alive. Yeah, I've done that too. That's a very good thing to do. Yeah, exactly. And that dialogue can be very powerful too. I mean, I remember I helped a lady, and I forget, it was her nephew or something, committed suicide, and she couldn't understand. It was very difficult for her to deal with. So she had a dialogue with him, and was forgiving and stuff. It was very wonderful for her. Okay. Any comments or questions about the process, which again could be done with forgiveness or just without it? But any just general questions before we do it? just wait. Linda, can you hear us fine? I haven't heard you. I just want to make sure that you're able to connect with us since are you able to hear us,
Yeah,
Linda? Good.
yes, I am. I'm just driving because I
Okay.
forgot that it started half an hour earlier than usual, than it
Okay.
used to. And I'm nearly parking and then I can stop and talk. But that
Oh,
was a
great.
great, I did that while I was driving. That was cool. That was
Oh,
very
wow.
releasing. Yeah.
Wow, people are having these intense, beautiful forgiveness experience. Oh, by the way, if you want
Yeah.
to forgive something you've had held for a lifetime, you can, oh, by the way, I got rid of. Hey, that's good news. Thanks, Linda. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure
Thank you.
sometimes you're not sure if the
Yeah.
person's there or not. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, and
Thank you.
so we can have someone who has a conflict with someone, they'd like to understand it more from their, so they could get a better insight, like, why I have such a difficulty, why, and this is neutralizing it. Does someone have a relationship that they'd like to get more neutrality about or better understanding of?
I can go. Actually, are you able to hear me,
Who's talking?
Cynthia?
Okay, Cynthia. Yes. Okay. Yes, we can hear you. I wanted to make sure who was talking. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Cynthia.
when I was talking, then Terry's name popped up.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have somebody.
Okay. So there's someone, so what we'll do is get that person's perspective. So we want to have in brief, like what we're looking at here. So could you just in, a couple sentences tell me, what it is that you'd like to get, better insight or neutrality about?
Somebody I know, dear friend, is his mom. She and we and her had a conversation, but basically she kind of cheated on his dad, and that caused issues in the family, and it caused issues with him that caused him health issues
Mm-hmm.
that led to him
Mm-hmm.
just passed away on Sunday.
Wow,
And
your friend passed away?
yeah,
Wow, sorry to hear that.
well, thank you. So just, that whole dynamic,
Yeah.
how it just spiraled and how it led to him,
Mm-hmm.
having such toxic relationships with her and everybody else. And
Oh yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
I just don't kind of quite
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. And that's, that's another example of how important forgiveness is, as we're talking about for
Yes,
health issues. Yeah. Right. Okay.
right.
All right. So we'll do this neutralizing conflicts with you and the other. Um, what should we call her? The mom or the other woman? How do we want to?
The mom.
The mom. Okay. Yeah. I ask those questions because when you're doing a process, you want to just have a word to say, if you say this person, it gets rather generic, okay, the mom. So you can find yourself in a relaxed place and make any adjustments, Cynthia. That's good for you to help you as you close your eyes. And I'll just count you down as we count down, lowering the numbers. That's a sign that you go into a deeper, quieter, more relaxed state of consciousness. Your whole body lets go with every number I count down. 5, getting more relaxed. 4, letting go even more. 3, waves of relaxation go through your whole body. 2, much, much more relaxed. Anything that needs further adjusting naturally, easily does so. Releasing, letting go, breathing beautiful breaths. And 1, in a very beautiful, relaxed place. And now imagine you are able to be to sense or be with that the mother in question. You're with that person. Okay. Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
And what's she doing or what's she look like? What's going on?
She just kind of standing there, kind of like, self-absorbed.
I missed the word standing there with doing what?
Kind of self-absorbed.
Oh, self-absorbed. Okay. All right. Okay. So imagine if you could connect with her and see things through her eyes and why she got into that affair early in her life. What was that all about? Just kind of through her eyes. What's she perceiving of how that occurred and what that was all about? How is she connecting with that?
Well, she actually told me in real life that was basically she wanted a better life, and her
Hmm.
husband at that time was older and fully grown when she married him.
Hmm.
And basically she wanted something, better
Hmm.
and different.
Hmm. So how is she feeling emotionally about having this affair at this point?
To her, she thinks she did the best thing that was for her.
Hmm. And how does she think it affected her son?
I'm not picking up that she's really making a connection that it affected him.
She's doing what about it?
I'm not picking up that she had really any connection that it affected him.
She was just unaware of it. She kind of blocked it out or was in denial of it, or she wasn't aware of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
She was unaware of how that affect. Yeah, that happens to people. They just block out things that are, you know, the elephants in the room, as we say. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else you're noticing kind of from her perception, her sense of feeling or awareness about her life or anything?
Her body language is almost like she just doesn't want to connect with that because,
Hmm.
um, and just to tell you a little bit more, the late husband died. The one she cheated on, he ended up dying too, and her daughter died, and
Wow.
granddaughter died, and then her youngest son died. So
Wow.
my friend was the last one that passed away. So now it's just grandchildren, and she's still kind of like in her own world, like
Hmm.
she had nothing to do with all of this.
Yeah. Right. Got it. Okay. So coming back into your own body, just going totally back into your own body, feeling grounded inside yourself as normal. So, is there anything you would like to say to the mom? Would you like to say anything to her?
Basically, why, you know, could you have done things differently to where it did impact all of those people and
Hmm.
their lives wouldn't have been cut short?
Hmm. And her response?
You don't understand
What don't you understand?
that she wanted better for herself.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So that, in a way, she was thinking that was the best thing for her to do.
Yeah. It was just all about herself,
Yeah. Right.
regardless how it affected everybody else.
Do you want to ask anything else of her, or just
No, I'm good. I'm good.
okay? And it doesn't sound like she has any regrets or anything like that from what you're saying. Okay. All
Real
right.
life for this, she had no regrets. And
Yeah.
even when her son had a talk with her years before I met
Yeah.
him,
Hmm.
and even lately, she just no acknowledgement and no response, no
Yeah.
acceptance of any of it.
Got it. Okay. So I'm going to count back up We went down in the way. We're going to come back up, and you can use this experience any way you want for your understanding and your own self-development, Cynthia, and for all the love and support you have given to others and yourself. 1, ready to come back. 2, using this experience any way you want. 3, removing anything you don't want. 4, coming back refreshed. And 5, opening your eyes back here in the room.
You know, when you had me to step into her, and I didn't fully step into her, but that was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, right. Well, she's probably pretty uncomfortable herself. You know, you're probably picking up a lot of her
Yeah,
discomfort too.
that was some deep stuff that was really about to, I could feel myself going down a
Yeah.
road, you know,
Yeah.
that I wasn't
Yeah,
prepared to
yeah.
go
You,
down.
you don't get lost, and you just get a sense of, hey, where are they coming from?
Yeah.
But there's probably a lot of unacknowledged pain. I mean, she must have a lot of unprocessed, denied pain with all those, you know, close people dying around her. That must be very intense. Yeah.
It has to be, you
Yeah.
know.
But some people are, well, we know that. I mean, you know, some people, you know, they create a lot of train wrecks and just go on and pretend that, you know, nothing, you know, they didn't do anything, contribute anything. Yeah, that happens. So my question for you then is, how are you feeling now? Because that was pretty intense.
Yeah, that was really intense. I'm kind of even keeled, you know, it's still just, I just have to accept her for who she is,
Yeah.
you know, and let it go on, and, you know,
Mm.
just forgive what I felt towards that. And
Is that what you did the forgiveness on earlier?
no, I did the forgiveness on the son, you know. I've been knowing him
Do you
for
need to
years.
forgive the mother?
Probably so. Yeah.
Should we do a round of that?
Yeah, let's do a round of that.
Okay. So on the little finger, you know, I release my anger toward her.
Does it matter which finger, left or right?
No, I'm not aware that it does.
Okay.
So I'm releasing my anger toward her.
Let me listen my anger towards Hilda.
Okay. And then the index finger, I'm forgiving her for what she did.
I'm forgiving her for what she did.
You know, I guess really on the affair might have been the main thing. There might be several things. Would it be about the affair? Because it could be multiple things you need to forgive her on.
Yeah, because that's kind of like, you know, I didn't know him then, but that's kind of, you know, me getting to really know him on a personal level and asking questions that nobody ever had asked him. That's when he noticed his life kind of just starts spiraling.
Yeah.
And
So
unfortunately, his relationships with people, especially women, they were train wrecks because of his
I can
relationship with his
imagine.
mom and what she had done.
I'm stepping back from this process because I'm thinking it through. Whenever you're doing something with someone, you want to try to think of the appropriateness and the context. So what I'm thinking is this is actually a more complex than one shot deal, because she had the affair, then what she did with the son. So you'd have to think of, what are you forgiving her for? You know, the way she treated her son, is that one thing? I'm just getting a sense that this may be a little more complex.
And you know, as you're thinking about just kind of knowing the story and what all that I do know, it's more issues to it.
Yeah, so I think it wouldn't be clear cut enough unless we had one specific. You could forgive her for the affair, but that doesn't sound complete because there's so many other things that are problematic, you know. So you might have to get to like more of a bottom line on where you are in relationship to the whole thing, you know, what the essence of it is. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess probably just marrying his father and then having him in the first place. That would probably be, you know, because be honest, what I sense and from conversations with her was that she never wanted that son in the first place. That's part of the issue.
So would you say you're saying the essence of it is you're forgiving her for getting married in the first place
Yeah, for even having him.
or for having a son?
Yeah.
Forgiving him for having a son. I want to reflect on that. It's not, I don't know if this is quite the right process for this. It just feels like there's a other way. There are certainly things to look at and to address, and it's a very interesting. I think one of the examples is this is part of life. I mean, there are people like this. You know, they're often in more mental health categories that we don't do here. You know, a therapist or a psychiatrist may be labeling a person like that with a certain, you know, characteristics.
Mhm.
So, and that would be someone that we probably wouldn't want to try to help ourselves, wouldn't probably be interested just because the severity of the issues involved.
Okay.
You know, but I think it's good to bring it up in terms of getting a better sense of it.
Yes, yes. And I appreciate what you did do. Like I said, I did the self thing on him. And so I felt better with that. And then, you know, just even opening up the door to forgive her and getting a sense of who she is and how she is, and kind of that was pretty intense.
Yeah. So you want to, again, obviously not approve of what she did, but not have a lot of accounts and grievances and a lot of draining of your energy because of her
Right.
misbehavior and her transgressions.
Right.
Okay. Comments or questions on any of that?
Well, I'm
Okay.
okay to move on.
Okay,
Know.
good. Cynthia, you processed well there. Good job. In the manual section 17.5, we talk about cutting cords, which I'm not going to spend, like, would be nice to have maybe almost a full class on that, but and I know Pamela's been exploring that too on her own with other people. But basically, we have sometimes called invisible or energetic cords to people, positive and negative. And some of them, like the people we've been talking about, there might be a negative cords toward that mother or toward that person Terry was talking about. And another way of dealing with it is seeing where the cords are. They're usually connected to a chakra. And then imagine cutting them, a visualization or just a sense of cutting them. And you could also have a little exchange if you want to say anything to the person, cutting the cord so you're free of their energy. And you could just imagine also just destroying the cords, just that it's a ritual where you imagine burning or destroying them or getting rid of them. And then afterwards you could do a cleansing in the visualization, like see yourself in a pool or a waterfall, just cleansing yourself from that relationship. It's a nice visualization. Again, it's section 17.5 and 6. It describes it step by step. You could also destroy your clothing in it. And you could do EFT with it, you know, even though I have this connection with so-and-so with this mother, I'm now cutting the cord and I'm free. I'm releasing the cord now. And you could do the tapping release. You could just say an EFT affirmation with it if you wanted to. But that's another option. Yes.
I was just saying, and I will after class.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's interesting to see that. Now, some cords are positive, loving cords, and obviously you're keeping those. I mean, there'd be no sense of removing them. Hey, there you are, Linda. Hi. And
Yeah, I got knocked off.
yeah. And Linda, have you done any cord cutting in your practice?
Yes, I love cord cutting. I think
Yes.
it's really effective.
Do you just do it when you kind of have a feeling toward it or any particular situation?
Well, if the person or myself, I have experienced it myself, but if the person is very focused on
Mhm.
a particular person. So obviously event is one thing, but if there's a lot of stuff that's coming at them from that person and it's not, all the sort of tapping and stuff like that isn't really shifting it, I feel like that cord cutting and taking back your energy and releasing their energy that's bound to you, I think it really helps them to clear and get that whole relaxation and
Mhm.
claim themselves back.
Now,
Yeah.
So
Philip,
yeah.
would it be cutting of all of the chakra cords?
Oh no, there's usually one or two,
How would I know which ones?
because
Or
you'll
the
intuit it.
list?
You'll say, like, imagine, you close your eyes, imagine there's some cords between you and this mother, say,
Mhm.
and where do you notice the cords? Okay, and there might be one or two. Okay, now I want you to remove the cord just completely from her and from you, and
Mhm.
destroy the cord, just burn it or bury it or send it to outer space. And you can do a cleansing, going into a waterfall, cleansing yourself. You can take off your clothes and to just feeling purified, putting on new clothes or robe. And with EFT, we have it in the manual section 17.7. One way to say it with EFT is I cut this cord with the mother or whoever, and I move on with my life. And I'm moving on with my life, and I'm more able to live and express my purpose. I cut this cord with this person and move on with my life, or live my purpose.
Got it. Okay.
It's a nice ritual. Yeah. It's another way of doing it. And again, you could do multiple things too. And again, how do you know if it's there? Well, before it's there, you have some unease with the person. Like if you say, think of, this person who, you had this interaction with, unpleasant, and is it neutral? It's not positive, but is it neutral? How do you know it's neutral? Well, it's kind of like a third person. So let's say if someone was verbally abusive to you, say a parent was verbally abusive to you, and whenever you think of that parent, you get very tense, especially if something reminds you of it. Once you're clear, once you've done the forgiving, you'll think of it, and it's almost like it happened to someone else. Like if I say, so and so was verbally abused, you'll feel empathetic. You'll feel kind toward the person, but you won't feel like, I'm really tense now and I can't go on. Unless you have your own linking story, then maybe you will. But it's like a third person. It's like, wow, it's terrible that they had this, fire that happened in their house. I feel really bad for them. But it's not like a fire in my own house, or I had a fire in my own house, but now I've gotten over it. I'm neutral. My life isn't destroyed by it. So that's the indicator, is it like a third person happening to someone else?
Got it. Thank you for that.
Any comments or questions? And again, Terry, you could go further, with that ex-friend, with these other neutralizing conflicts or cutting cords with the person too, as a further exploration, if needed, or if you decided to. Since we
I
are,
had a comment, Philip.
go ahead.
Just that whole thing that you said about it, clearing that energy, you can be so stuck in it. And I think you've said it before, and it's come up in stuff when I've been with someone before, is that you keep the wisdom of the experience, but you no longer holding on to the emotion of it, right? And you can move, how you were describing, you can still remember it, but it doesn't trigger you into an emotional spiral. And
Right.
I actually do the cord cutting with the chakras. I do remember that we've done it with you before, but before that, I wasn't doing it with the chakras. I was just doing it with the person. And I think if you can dive into those chakras, it's even more effective.
Mm-hmm.
Would you
Deeper.
Do you agree?
I would.
Yeah.
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 We're going to go deeper.
Yeah. Deeper. Yeah.
Right. Good. Excellent. Yeah, that's good. One more thing we've been exploring in this course, the mudras, the mudra deck, the mudra cards. And one of the mudras is called the Kali mudra. Well, it's good for many things, but you could do it with forgiveness or releasing it. It's you want to sit straight, and you could bring your hands to your chest. That's probably going to be around your heart, or you could do other areas, but probably would do the chest. You're interlacing the fingers of both hands, and you're pointing the index finger up, and you're crossing your thumbs. And it's called the Kali, Kali mudra, because it's named after the goddess Kali in Hinduism, India. She represents destruction of ego, fear, false illusions. So it's like you're cutting negativity and illusions, which fits well with forgiveness. I mean, you could do it for many things. And it can help you focus too, because the fingers are pointing. So it's sometimes called Kali, the dissolution of your ego about it, because we do kind of get attached to our grievances, don't we? Because we play them over and over, so they get stronger.
Philip, I do believe that goddess is called Kali.
Kali. Okay, thank you, Kali. Okay.
She's a destructor.
She's what?
The destructor.
Destroying negativity and illusion. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, just so we understand, destroying things we want to destroy, not good things. So that could be something that you could do during the rituals or during the release. So if you're thinking now of something that you want to release, it could be that forgiveness, like we were talking about earlier, or just something you want to release. If you put your hands in the Kali mudra, index finger pointing up, you can kind of just feel the energy of it. And you can just say, I'm releasing whatever. I'm releasing what I need toward this. I'm releasing any leftover energy from this. And it could also be something you do before or at an ending point of your process. Sometimes that's called the gesture of Kali, and it's good to do some breathing with it, and it helps you sometimes become clear, and it strengthens your resolve. It's grounding and helps you be more resilient too. Any comments about the Kali mudra and what you were noticing with that? Pamela.
So I too call her Kali, and I love the goddess Kali for transformation and destruction. And thank you for this mudra, because I didn't know this was associated with her. That's very cool. So I can incorporate this into my Kali rituals. So it feels good. It feels right. It feels like, yes, I'm focused right on that, and cord cutting or destroying what you want destroyed. I like it. Feels good.
Yeah, and having been in Jane and I in different groups, kind of psychology groups, or I don't know what you want to call the different groups. We've been in several groups over our lifetime, which we've learned a lot, but they tend to be kind of cultic or whatever. Groups are very tricky things I've found, like spiritual groups that are formed like that. And I remember one of the ladies, for instance, we were with her and we paid her for something, or we decided to leave the group, but we paid her for a year or something. We said, well, could we get the rest of the money back? I guess we're just going to leave the group now. She goes, no, I'll still be working with you in your dreams.
Mhm.
Oh,
So, and one of the things that
bizarre.
share that for a little spiritual humor. And although it's a real story. And what does tend to happen, and you can verify this in case you're in any, if you've gotten involved with spiritual groups, I imagine some of you have. And we've learned some of our deepest lessons in some of these groups, some of our most expensive lessons monetarily too. Anyway, that the the leader of the group, shall we say, whatever you call that person's name, is attached to your crown chakra, has a cord to your crown chakra. And I have verified that and had to do some removing and seeing one of the people, one of the leaders in my dreams and stuff, just feeling like there's still this hold on me. So that's something that is kind of, I share that just because it's interesting, but it might be, if you have that, you might want to check out to see if that's something you want to do cord cutting on, or, if you're helping people. Yes, Pamela.
I think also people that can do out of body experiences and visit other places and people, they can go in your dreams and I guess invade you or your privacy. I've heard of that before. I've never experienced it, but I've heard a lot of stories about that, and maybe that's what happened around that lady with you going into her dreams, going into your dreams, or maybe she visited you and that's why you needed to cut that, so she was lost
Yeah, maybe
from
too
that.
invasive.
I don't
yeah.
know if that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So just wanted to
George?
Yeah, not to give this too much mileage, but there's a lady named Veronica Lynn, and like a lot of people, she doesn't want to give you her last name, and that's okay. But she has a long story, very interesting personal story. But anyway, a friend of mine is in her group, so she deals with people through Patreon, and she's doing a lot of dream research, right? So she and her partner have verified that dream warfare is a real thing. And the government, sometimes the three-letter agencies, the dark side of them, uses it against people. But anyway, there's a lot more to it. It's like you can time travel in your dreams, and all sorts of things. It's wild and crazy. But these people are verifying it. I mean, they're experimenting and they're actually doing this work. And she also says that a lot of your, well, call it your work, like on a spiritual or psychological level, occurs when you're asleep. I mean, much more than you think. So enough about all that. But
Yeah,
it's just
interesting
you can go
points.
very deep into that whole.
Yeah, interesting points.
Type of thing.
I'd say maybe the main point for us today is just to be continually monitoring and watching yourself where areas where you feel you aren't neutral, that you aren't in a positive, loving place, areas that are taking your energy, wherever that's coming from, and to address it and get help, if you need it, to do so. So as we're closing here, final comments, something that you found interesting today on forgiveness, neutralizing conflicts. Covered a lot of areas again today. Thank you for your attention. Final comment, something interesting for you today.
Well, I found all of this interesting. And, through my training, the traditional trainings, I know that everything is in our face. Everything is in our back of our neck, connections from our inner body, our organs are in our face, back of our neck, our hands, and in our feet. So that exercise that you went over was very profound to me, to be able to make the connections on the hands, where I could utilize for forgiveness. And also what Pamela stated. I've heard that as well, and as also what George stated, and some
Mhm.
additional things. So,
Right. Something just to be aware of. Okay.
yes.
Thanks for sharing that. And Linda,
That tapping that you did with the pinky and the thumb, that was amazingly
yeah,
effective.
be set
Yeah.
free fast, and it's in your manual.
Yeah, I hadn't
it's
read that bit.
and it's let me see, get the exact page. Oh, it's chapter 17, page 3. Chapter 17, page 3.
Page 3. Yeah, I'm going to go back to that. That was very cool. Nice
Yeah,
and
it's
fast,
all
huh?
written out there real tidily for you. Yeah, very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Remind me, Philip, is it on the inside of the little finger or on the outside?
The inside, always on the inside. The
And that-
inside.
That's true of the pointer finger as well?
Right. That would be on the inside facing the
Okay.
thumb. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Good.
And thank you for bringing up the correlation with the chakras to burn those connections.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we'll be with you for the lab so you can practice these techniques and make them more your own and get the integration ahas on Thursday. That'll be really good. And next week, remember, is that week off. It's 3 weeks on and 1 week off, and then we'll have the final 3 weeks of the course. But you're all doing really well. Thank you for your attention. I'll stick around for after hours if there is something, someone wants to talk anything about. But good job, everyone.